Hello everybody, it's Will from You Know Nothing. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and welcome back to my channel. If you're finding my channel through my Balerion the Black Dread video, I want to say hello and welcome. That video's somehow hit some kind of algorithm, and since season 8 started, it's got like 50,000 views in a couple of days, so that's awesome, and welcome to the channel. But in this video, I'm going to be going through some of the Easter eggs that you may, and probably will, have missed in the season 8 intro. Now, before we get into it, I just want to give a quick shout out to a podcast that I'm a part of where we talk about our first reactions to stuff, and it's aptly named First Reactions. We do a lot of Game of Thrones stuff on there, so if you like Game of Thrones stuff, check out that. I'll be linked in the description down below. We talk about some of the things such as the Night King's symbol and possibly being a Targaryen and what the feather might mean and other stuff as well. But let's get into the intro of Game of Thrones. Now, the intro of Game of Thrones is one of the most iconic intros ever. And if anyone ever skips the Game of Thrones intro, there's something wrong with you. But famously, it changes from episode to episode and season to season. Only little changes, and I think that's awesome. But this one is quite a lot different to the past season. So we start off with the spiralling astrolabe of the Citadel. Now, I didn't even know what an astrolabe was or what the word meant before I did a little bit of research onto this, but it's an instrument to make astronomical measurements. Yeah, that's what they use in the Citadel, and it looks cool in an intro. Previously in the show, some of the symbols on the astrolabe have showed big moments in the history of Westeros, like the Doom of Valyria with the dragons and the Targaryens, and Robert's Rebellion, etc. Whereas this one, it starts off, and it shows a dragon breathing fire and destroying the wall, which we know happens at the end of Season 7, with the Night King and Viserion destroying the wall. So I think that's pretty cool. There's a pretty cool little Easter egg in there. But like I said in my top 10 moments of the first episode, click here if you want to see that video. There's blue tiles that kind of flip over, which obviously show the path of the White Walker army, which will probably progress as the episodes go along and will go further south. So in the first episode, the blue path stops at the last half, which is where we see Tormund and Beric and Dolorous Edd finding poor little Ned Umber strapped to a wall. It stops there because that's where we see the White Walker presence. I assume the next episode, it will probably be a bit further south, and then when we get to the Battle of Winterfell, it'll go all the way down to Winterfell, and then possibly even all the way down to King's Landing later on in the season, who knows. But this season gives a much more detailed version of each individual place, but with fewer places than previous seasons. So in previous seasons, it started from the south, went up north, and kind of skipped through a lot of the main places that we see in the show, whereas this time, it goes in depth in Winterfell and King's Landing mainly. Because obviously they're the main settings that this series will take place in. So as we go into Winterfell, we can see that the Weirwood tree is really blossoming compared to the previous ones. So does that mean that the Weirwood tree is going to have more significance in this? Possibly more factors with the Children of the Forest and the Night King? I have a theory that the Night King is looking at coming back to do something to the Children of the Forest, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. But as we go into the crypts of Winterfell, we can see Lyanna Stark's statue, which is kind of cool. And then it moves back to the astrolabe, which is that's my new favourite word, with 3 images. One of them showing a lion with a fish in its mouth, another one showing what looks like a direwolf that's hung with arrows in it, and another one with a man holding up a wolf's head. Now, at first when I saw this, I thought this could be something to do with what's going to happen in Season 8, but then I saw someone else do a breakdown of this, and they were like, it's the Red Wedding, and I think that is definitely what it is, because we have a fish, which is the animal symbol for House Tully, in a lion's mouth, which obviously Catelyn Stark was a Tully. She's in the lion's mouth because they got betrayed by the Lannisters. Then we have a Stark wolf hung with arrows in it, which is what happened at the Red Wedding, and someone holding up a wolf's head. And when Robb was killed, they decapitated his direwolf and attached it onto his body and rode him out for everyone to see, which is pretty grim. But there's another Easter egg of them showing events that have happened within their astrolabe. So as we go further south, we see a place, a setting that hasn't actually been in the show so far, I don't think, and I can't even really remember it being in the books that much. But this place is the Isle of Faces. You can see it's a little island in the middle of this lake. It's supposedly where the Children of the Forest and the First Men made a pact to end their war. That's why the Children of the Forest created the Night King in the first place, to help end the war, and this is where they made their peace treaty. It's supposed to be full of weirwood trees like the one we see in Winterfell, and the reason why the trees have faces on them is because they carved faces onto each tree so that the gods could witness their pact, which is a kind of cool little Easter egg for you there. On the Isle of Faces wiki, it says that some maesters in Westeros suggest that there are still some Children of the Forest on the island protecting the trees. The weird thing is, in the intro, there's like a little strip of land connecting the island to the mainland, whereas on the wiki and in the books, it's supposed to be completely surrounded by water. Now, this could just be something that they've overlooked, but they don't really seem to do that. They seem to be very, very meticulous in what they do. So we could be seeing the Isle of Faces in Season 8, and why would they include it in the intro? But the Night King actor Vladimir Furdik said that we will find out who the Night King's target is, or what the Night King's target is, in Season 8. He definitely has a target. And possibly with the spiral symbols that he's doing, he could be mocking the children of the forest, and he could be going to the Isle of Faces to completely wipe them out for good. But then we move on down to King's Landing. We get a much more detailed view of King's Landing again. We can see the map on the floor that Cersei made in the previous season, and we go down to Balerion's skull, which is kind of cool. And it actually shows the Iron Throne in this one, where I don't believe it shows it in any of the previous seasons, with the Lannister lion above it. And as they like changing things in the intro, if we see Cersei overthrown, and perhaps a Stark on the throne, a Targaryen on the throne, whatever, I reckon that symbol above the throne will change as well. Before it ends, we see another symbol on the Astrolabe, which shows 3 dragons and a shooting star. And you probably will have forgotten about this, but in Season 2, there's a red shooting star in the sky, and it's much more talked about in the books than the actual show. And people in the show come up with lots of reasons why this comet is in the sky. Some people say it's the return of the dragons, some people say it's signifying the return of Azor Ahai, but they put it in there, so it'll probably come back around. But there we go, that's all the Easter eggs that you may have missed in the new Season 8 intro. Check out my channel for other Game of Thrones videos. Hit the like button if you enjoyed and you're hyped for Season 8. I'll definitely be doing Episode 2, Top 10 Moments, when that comes out on Monday. Thank you very much. I'll see you all on my next video. Adios.